If only I was prettier. If only I was skinnier. If only I was more athletic. If only I was more intelligent. If only I was more outgoing and sociable. If only I changed every single little thing about myself, then people would finally like me. People would finally accept me. People would finally be like, "Oh, Jessica, you're awesome and you matter." But every single time that I tried to change myself to gain the approval of other people, I would make friends with people who were fake or people who didn't love me for me. And when they found out who I truly was, they weren't about that. But it was so liberating. It's so liberating to find people who love you for you, who you are 100%. We don't have to put up a front, put this mask on. I don't mean face mask, I mean an actual mask on in front of them. It's so liberating. But you don't matter because you change yourself for others because they care about you because of that false image. But you matter because you are a human being and you're also just the way you are. You need to change yourself for anyone else because there's going to be people and there are people who love you for you. And I had to remind myself of that. When people online would put me down, I chose to believe what they said about me as well. I gave people the paper and pen to my story. I said, "Here, write my story. This is your story." I allowed other people to write my story for me, take my story away from me. But then I had to realize this, and I hope you guys, if you guys listen to anything I tell you, I want you guys to listen to this. That what people say about you, in front of you, behind your back, online, on social media, wherever, has nothing to do with you at all. What people say about you has nothing to do with you at all. It has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. But here's the thing, that it is our choice. It is our choice. It is your choice if you want to choose to believe the lies that people are trying to sell you about yourself. Every single day, it is your choice. That instead of living that third person life and allowing other people to write your story for you, instead, you have to choose to live that first person life and take that story back because it is your story and no one can take that story away from you. It is your story. But I remember feeling really low about myself when that happened. And there's this one girl in my class named Bianca, and we weren't best friends. We were acquaintances. We sat with each other at lunch every so often. I'm sure you know the type. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can relate to that. But I remember she commented this on my post. She said this to me. "Jessica, that is not true. You are beautiful." And I still remember her saying that to me 9 years later. 9 years later, oh my gosh, that's a long time. But still, just think about this. I know it's so easy that when you see people that maybe are going through a hard time, it can just be easy to walk away or be like, "It's not my problem." And it's also easy when people are being put down to just join in, to make yourself feel better about yourself. But instead of doing that, Bianca, that girl in my class, decided to encourage me to be that hand that reached out because your words, your actions, the things you do for others can change somebody's day, somebody's week, somebody's year, somebody's lifetime. Just think about that. Maybe somebody's going through the hardest time in their life. Maybe they're having a rough time at home and they just need a friend. You could be that friend for somebody else. Maybe someone's new at the school and they just need someone to be there for them. You can be that person for someone else.
I am ready to fight for what I love. I have just one chance to...
I remember growing up, always being the big kid and going to my annual doctor's appointment every year, right? And the doctor would always tell me the same thing every time I went in. He said, "Mike, you have got to lose weight or else it will affect your health long term." And what did I do about that at the time? Well, I was just some knuckleheaded kid and I didn't listen to him. I didn't care what the doctor said. I just went on living my life and didn't pay any attention to him. I didn't lose the weight. In fact, I kept on gaining weight, and every year I go back to the doctor for my annual checkup and he'd tell me the same exact thing. This went on for about 20 years. And then it finally caught up to me. I remember the day I went in for my annual checkup, and the doctor had done some blood work on me and looked me dead in the face and he said, "Mike, you have pre-diabetes." This hurt a lot, and I had to start asking myself questions. Like, why? Why? Was I doing this to myself? Why was I treating myself this way and allowing myself to put on all that weight? You see, I undervalued my health because I undervalued my self-worth. For me, growing up obese and growing up the big kid in class, super overweight, I always remember getting picked on. The mean kids would say things about me, and when a mean kid said something mean about me, I would just brush it off and acted like it didn't affect me. But it did. It hurt. But when I brushed it off and acted like it didn't affect me, my friends would see that and think that it didn't affect me and thought that they could joke about my weight too. So my friends started making fun of me. So not only the mean kids, but also the kids that I love and the kids that I cherish and my friends started making fun of me. Do we have any gamers in the crowd? All right, that's a lot of gamers, let's be real. So maybe you can relate. Maybe you stay up at night sometimes way too late playing video games with your friends and you deprive yourself of sleep. Oh yeah? Yeah, you guys relate to that? I thought you would. Because I relate to that. Now, you know, that's a very shallow example. Let's dig a little deeper, okay? Maybe you're the kid that deals with depression and anxiety. And maybe you cut yourself because you feel like you deserve to be in pain. Or maybe you're the kid who wants to fit in and wants to be like everyone else. And you take up that vape pen, or you take up the cigarettes or the drugs or alcohol and you try them because you don't feel like anyone appreciates you, you don't feel like anyone loves you, and you feel like you need to do something to fit in with them. When you do these things to your body, you're undervaluing yourself. You know what I didn't realize when I was obese? You know what I didn't realize when I was super overweight? I did not realize how valuable I was. See, when people would tear me down and I would hurt myself, I thought I was worthless. I thought I was unimportant, and I undervalued myself, and that's why I allowed myself to turn out that way. So don't undervalue yourself and don't do those things to hurt you, because every single person in this room, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what vices you have or what demons you struggle with, every single one of you has value. And no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're doing, every single one of you is important. Self-value is not about what other people say about you. It's not about what other people think. Value and having true value within oneself is about being the best version of yourself you can be. And when I realized that, I was able to take steps to get on the right track. I could start going to the gym, for example, and not worrying about what other people said about me. For me, it was my actual weight, it was my physical weight, it was my eating problems, it was my food addiction. But what is weighing you down? And what can you do to better yourself and use the value of health and self-worth in your life.
Throw your hands to the sky if you know what it's like to know somebody's got you.
I have an older brother. He's 3 years older than me. You know, I'm sure some of you guys have an older sibling, or maybe you're the oldest sibling, but you know that feeling when you see your brother or sister playing a sport and you think they're so cool or they're doing something amazing. You're like, wow, I can't wait to be like you. That's how I felt with my brother. My brother, he was an amazing instrumentalist. He was an amazing musician. You could give him any instrument, he could play it beautifully. He is incredibly intelligent. He could put him in any advanced class and he'd be able to get it without even trying. Everyone loved him. He was incredibly popular. Everyone knew who he was. You know, and I look at myself and I compare myself to him and be like, man, I have big shoes to fill. I have huge shoes to fill. I want to be close to how cool my brother is. You know, being my age when I was younger. And then I remember one day my mom called me downstairs to the basement and she told me this. Jessica, your brother is using drugs. Do not tell anyone. And that was really hard. That was really hard. Like the part where my mom said, do not tell anyone. And I kept that part of that saying that she told me for years. It wasn't until probably 2 or 3 years later I finally told somebody, and I told my best friend, and I broke down when I told her. Because for a long time I felt like I couldn't tell people, and I felt like I was alone and going through that. You know, I'd see my parents every single day with my brother getting into yelling matches with them, and my family was just going through all this strife and stuff, and I felt like I couldn't tell anyone, and I felt alone when I was going through that. That no one would care about it, or that people would judge me and then not want to be my friend anymore if they knew, because they'd see me as less than or see me differently. Because my brother was going through it. But even though my brother was going through it, you know, it started with a simple vape pen, and then he started using marijuana, and then after that, he became the dealer of the dealer of the dealer. And then finally, he was using hallucinogenic substances like LSD and DMT and other hard substances like that just warped his brain. Guys, this is very serious. The person who he is today is unrecognizable from the person who he was when he was younger. For a long time, I thought I was gonna be an only child. And it was really hard on me. And I don't know if any of you guys are going through that right now, but I want you to know that you are not alone. And even though when I was younger, I wasn't able to tell anyone, now I can tell people and share that with people because I know that other people are going through that. It's good to support others that are going through it, but also support the person you love. And even though my brother used substances and was doing all those things, running away from the house and doing all these things, going to rehab and all these places, that did not change the fact that we cared about my brother, that we love my brother, that he matters. And even though he was using substances, that did not change the fact that he has value, that he has worth, that he is worth something. But what it did is it changed that he had a purpose. Because his purpose, instead of following his dreams or doing something amazing, he chose to allow drugs to take over his life and have drugs be his purpose. My uncle, he passed away from an overdose last year and a few days ago from meth. And I was worried that the same thing is gonna happen to my brother, and I'm so worried to this day about it. This is no joke. One of the most important moments in your life, beyond getting married, having kids, going to prom, whatever, graduation, all those things, major milestones, is the first moment. And I'm sure you guys might have already had it happen because you guys are a bit older, you guys are in high school. It's the first moment someone offers you a substance. Maybe someone will offer you something in college or as you get older. But even if you have used it, just know it's not too late. That you guys still have time, and I don't want you guys to find your purpose in things like drugs and alcohol and vaping and depression and anxiety and all those things that just try to drag you down. They're gonna try to drag you down, guys. But that is not your purpose. Your purpose is so much more than that, but do not allow those things to take over your life. Like they did for my brother and like they did for my uncle, and he paid the highest cost. He paid the highest cost with his life.
Never gonna retract, even with the feedback, I will be the contrast.